Well, we're at the Dell Storage Forum in Boston, and joining me is Darren Thomas. Darren, it's great seeing you again, and you guys had some pretty good announcements this week. The one announcement that stuck out the most for me was the EqualLogic Blade Array, and I think a lot of people, because it's such a different type of product, don't necessarily can't get their arms around it at a first pass. Why don't you kind of go into it with us a little bit about the EqualLogic Blade Array?
Sure. First of all, on a physical level, we took an EqualLogic PS-4000, which is a pretty large device. It's a rack-mounted system, 2U high. It's a fairly big system. And we took that and we shrunk it in to go in a double-wide, half-tall, Dell blade, which means it's only about this big and that long. So
yeah, it's small.
It's tiny. Yeah, and we had to use a lot of technology borrowed from our notebook team to actually shrink it down into that. And one of the examples I like to use is, when we first built the thing, we went from a 6-layer board to a 21-layer board that folded, 3 times. And so it's an enormous amount of technology to get it into that physical size. And people see that and they're kind of just in awe of how much shrinkage we had to do to get that thing in the box. But it's a fully functioning EqualLogic PS-4000, and that's what people are surprised by. Now you have to kind of get your mind around the fact that all that technology we built with the PS-4000, all that application code, all that thin provisioning, thin cloning, all that technology we've been announcing for 4 years with EqualLogic, and the technology they brought to Dell 4 years ago, that's all in there too. It's not like we started over.
Right.
And then on top of that, you can group 2 of them in the array, and that's pretty amazing. So we're the only company that ever has put an enterprise class product inside the array. But if that isn't amazing enough, and this is the hard part to get their head around, it will group with PS-6000s outside of the array. So you can build what appears to be 700 drives and 1 petabyte inside a little bitty box.
And you combine networking and server resources all in the same fold, which is just amazing, because it is different than what other folks are doing out there. And I think that's really, the technology is really cool. And obviously the integration with the acquisition with Force 10 is incorporated into this. But what are some of the use cases for this? And what's the practical, where does the rubber hit the road with it?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I want to start by kind of highlighting the fact that you're now starting to see the Dell personality come out from all this intellectual property we bought. So we have a EqualLogic blade that we bought, or we have an EqualLogic device we bought from EqualLogic, but the fact that it's in a blade array, the fact it's converged with the Force 10 switch and the Dell blade is very unique to Dell itself. Mm-hmm. And so that's the first thing you see. Now, talking about the use models, there are a lot of customers that want to, I talked to a banking customer just last night, and they're talking about putting a bank in a box, literally being able to ship a banking capability in a box. The Blade Array is perfect for that because it's converged. It has switching, it has CPU, probably has more CPU than they would need, more switching than they would need, and certainly more scalable from the storage.
And you think for a remote office situation like that, where you can kind of just, like I said, have a bank in a box, and you get all the replication features and other things, you can probably bake that to your specific use case for that remote office and ready to go.
Yeah, well, at Dell we have a configured order, so if they were to give us the image, we could ship the system completely configured and built in the box, and they could unbox it in whatever country they want to, put a bank in a box in. And the same thing's true. You put a data center in a box, you put a database in a box, you put anything in. So in the converged world, all the way up to mid-size, maybe even some remote examples of large customers could use this solution with scalable compute, scalable networking, and scalable storage, all built in a very precise solution called the Dell Blade. And so that's it's just an amazing. It has gotten a lot of coverage, and I think it is kind of, to use the old 60s saying, it's kind of blowing people's minds.
Yeah, well, and again, because it is unique in the respect of everything we get in that little box, and I think some people had to digest it 2 or 3 times before it actually clicked about some of the different use cases. With something like that, obviously you guys just acquired Force not that long ago, and obviously these things take time as convergence takes place. How long does it take Dell to put together a product like that in that kind of a window? What's the window look like to build a solution like that?
Well, I mean, Force 10's just been a few months. It's I guess it's been about a year, but it feels like just a few months. But it is.
It seems like yesterday.
Yeah, it just seems like yesterday. But it takes a little bit of time because these are custom designs from the ground up. Typically, the IP, the intellectual property, the technology, we own it. The work is in all the productization of it and putting it, in this case, the miniaturization of it, the productization of it is a lot of the complexity. And then, of course, we have huge test cycles to make sure these products don't go out into the field and disappoint our customer set, because we know enterprise products, they just have to work. So that's kind of the long cycle. The beauty is we bought this intellectual property. We own it. It's not like we have to invent the magic. We have the magic. We just have to put it in the boxes. And so it's not a small amount of work, but it's certainly something that we're able to do and able to do quickly, as exampled by the fact that Force 10 custom built a mezzanine switch to go in the back of the blade and did it in time. Actually, they beat us to market with a Colossus product, the EqualLogic Blade Array. So it's happening very fast at Dell. It's amazingly fast. I'd like my bosses to all hear this is faster than anybody in the industry has ever done these kind of things. And I think we really can show those as proof points that Dell simply works better together.
Can you, I would imagine, and I'm not asking you to speculate on any futures, but I imagine because the 2.5-inch drives that are in there, you could put flash drives and other types of technology into there as the market for this matures and as performance and scalability requirements. Well, you've already got scalability, obviously, with this, but I imagine that the drives, you've got the flexibility now of putting different media in there.
Well, it's good because, that's one you're going to really like. We did put flash in there, so you actually can buy that product with flash drives in it as we launched it. So that part we have actually already done. And so this is the beauty as we're starting to get these products out the door. We're not starting off with blank sheets of paper. We always like to say at Dell, 4 years ago, I started with a blank sheet of paper building a storage business. But my sheet's not blank anymore. It's got a lot of technology and a lot of IP on there. So you're seeing us come out with first instantiations of fully complete solutions like the EqualLogic Blade Array. That does have flash memory.
Flash memory. So kind of give us a look down the road here, the bigger picture, because I think a lot of the questions when people come to conferences like this is, where's the roadmap? And not specifically to the product roadmap, but the bigger vision. This is, to me, this looks like just a small little sample of what convergence looks like.
It is.
Convergence gets a whole lot bigger, I would think.
Yeah, I think you've got the right. Vision. Convergence just keeps getting bigger. I mean, the early stages of convergence, people took products that companies already had, combined them together into a, if you will, a bill of material based solution. You combine the solutions together. But we're getting to the point now where we've just launched a product that was designed from ground up to be converged together. And I think you're going to see more examples of that. At Dell, we have the converged solutions that you can buy called V-Starts. They have, they've got all the technology combined together. We'll do the install. We'll completely bring the system up and running. It is a turnkey virtual machine system. And I think what you're going to see going forward is switches, networking, storage devices, and the compute systems all designed so that when you connect them together, they do things they wouldn't have normally done. You're going to see that internal design. That's coming. And the design criteria. And so we like to say our equipment will work with anybody else's equipment, but if you combine Dell on Dell on Dell, it's simply going to work better.
That's awesome. Well, that's great, Darren. Thanks for taking a few minutes with us during the forum. And good luck, and obviously we'll keep our ears open for a bigger and better convergence.
Thank you.
Great.